and welcome into SportsZone. I'm your host, Trey Francis, and we're going to talk about these Dallas Mavericks and see what they're about. And to talk about that with me here, Tiger Kent and Jacob Calhoun. Jacob, I'm going to go ahead and go to you. I mean, the Mavericks, I just said it, kind of a rocky road right now. They were hot. You know, they dropped that game against the Cavs. Let's talk about the game against the Cavs.
Man, watching that last quarter really hurt. You know, it was back and forth throughout that entire game. And then when they finally got that lead with like 2 seconds left and then that half-court shot at the very end, I mean, that shooter was hot going into that.
And Tiger, what did you see from that Mavs team? What did you like from the Mavs in that one?
Yeah, well, I liked Luka Doncic, obviously, for multiple reasons. It feels like Luka's at that stage of his career, similar to LeBron in 2008 between 2010, where this is the best player in the world, but nobody wants to admit it. And you can really see it every time he steps out on the floor, and specifically last night, though. Luka has improved defensively, specifically in isolation, but the Mavericks, when Kyrie, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Luka Doncic are on the field, are dead last in defensive efficiency, and you could see it on top of the key with that action with Max Strus, who hit those 4 straight threes, and then obviously the half-court shot, like you mentioned. I think the Mavs showed a lot of good things, but specifically that group on defense has to improve.
Yeah, Luka and Kyrie, they did their thing, 45 points and 30 points, and like I mentioned already, the Mavericks lost that one 121-119. So, Jacob, what else did you see from the Mavericks that they struggled with? Because obviously giving up those threes, that's never a good thing. But did you see anything else out of the Mavericks that you thought was like, should have been better?
Honestly, I thought that they did really well through that entire game, just, you know, passing, keeping everything where they need to be. But once again, that defense with those big three on has struggled, as we saw.
And let's talk about the Cavs for just a second. They got a little loaded roster. Their team is definitely a lot better than it was just a couple of years ago. And Tiger, who did you like from that team? Obviously, Strus, he had a heck of a game, nailing that last shot. But who else did you like from that team?
Obviously, I'm going to take the easy way out. Even though Evan Mobley and name is Jared Allen, his name eluded me.
Jared Allen, Donovan Mitchell,
obviously,
you name
those
it.
two are tall, but the two guards up at the top, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is having an MVP-type season, a guy who I think would be top 3 in voting if it wasn't for guys like Luka Doncic. And so that guard play out there is special, and even their 2 big men are great as well.
Yeah, and Jacob, what did you see from the Cavs besides Strus? Who did you like?
I like Donovan Mitchell. I think that he has been top of his game this entire season, and I think that truly is, like you said, having an MVP caliber season if it wasn't for Luka Doncic.
So we know the Mavericks, they like to go out there and play that kind of style where the offense just tries to outshoot the defense, and they don't like to play much defense every once in a while. Do you guys think that's going to hurt the Mavs going forward? What do you think, Tiger?
I think if they specifically go with that lineup I mentioned earlier of those big 3, it just didn't make sense in that situation. A time when you were up by upwards of 10 points to go with an offensive lineup when your offense isn't struggling to begin with. If you go with a defensive lineup, bringing a guy like P.J. Washington, then I think they end up winning that Cavs game. And I think it just comes down to situational substitutions. If you're Jason Kidd, understanding when you need that offensive lineup and understanding when you need a defensive lineup.
And Jacob, do you think that this one will hurt the Mavericks going forward, or do you think they'll shake that off and be all right?
I think that they will shake it off and keep going, pushing strong. I mean, we saw it against the Raptors. They pushed strong against the Raptors, and I honestly think that it's just a rough game.
I'm glad you mentioned the Raptors. Now, let's talk about them. Mavericks defeated them 136-125, really showed the bounce back after losing to the Cavs on that last-second buzzer beater. What did you guys like from the Mavs? What did they do well, Tiger?
And I liked going back to Gafford and the young rookie, his name is eluding me again, from Duke. Derek Lively, going with that duo again. Daniel Gafford only played 7 minutes against the Cavs, and I understand with the guard play that the Cavs have that you want to go with a smaller lineup. But the guy I wanted to point out, I brought him up early, is P.J. Washington. He kind of steadied the ship earlier in that game, was playing good defense, had some good buckets early on. And I think if you get good production from bench guys like that, which is what I think the Mavs have been missing for years, you're looking at a team that's poised to make a deep run.
Yeah, 23 from Washington, 30 from Doncic, 29 from Irving. Several guys across the board stepping up. Jacob, who did you like from that Mavs offense?
Honestly, I love seeing Luka. He put up a triple-double on his birthday. Never been done before in NBA history. I think that was awesome. You know, birthday guy, got to give him some love. But I think that him and Kyrie together, now that we're, a year out of that trade, I think that it has truly clicked with them. And, you know, I think that they're finally kind of putting it together.
And, you know, with every good win, there's always a couple bad things or things that could have been a little bit better. What did you guys think from that defensive side of things that might have could have been a little better? Because we just talked about it. I mean, defense against the Cavs was a struggle. But this one, they were able to outshoot the opposition. Jacob, right back to you. What did you think?
Honestly, watching that first quarter, I really thought that our defense kind of just was standing there, you know, not really putting up a whole lot of defense like they should be. And they kind of just gave up some easy buckets there at the very beginning, but I think they kind of stepped it up afterwards. But I think that putting in that defense at the beginning is really important just so we can carry it through the rest of the game.
And Tiger, your struggles from this Mavericks team in that game?
Yeah, and it's the same thing in its defense. And I think as long as the Mavs carry on this philosophy that, hey, we're just going to score more than you, they might be fine. I'm thinking a couple years ago when the Suns made the finals, they kind of had that same philosophy. A team that wasn't great defensively, but they just knew they were going to come out and score more than you. And I know they didn't win it all that season, but you still made the finals, and I consider that a success. And for a Mavs team that hasn't had much success in the Luka Doncic era, I think making the finals would be a great start.
Yeah, finding success is important, and right now, I mean, they got a tough little stretch of games, guys. These last couple that they've had, they still have some more going forward. They got the Celtics coming up. I mean, what do the Mavericks need to do to find themselves in the playoffs rather than like the play-in? What do you think, Jacob?
Honestly, I think that defense needs to step up. I mean, we've been talking about it all show. Defense needs to step up, and against a team like the Celtics, defense is gonna have to step up. You know, Jason Tatum, absolutely incredible. I think that if they can stop him and keep him, you know, under, I'd say 30, I think that they'd have a really good chance at winning it.
That's right, and you know what they say, defense wins championships. But Tiger, what do you think here? I mean, the Mavericks, they got some tough games going forward, like I said. How can they continue this game against the Raptors and not the game against the Cavs?
I think this is a great stretch for the Mavericks to really work on their defense, like you are saying. Earlier in the week, they played the Pacers, and Pacers were kind of coming out with this pseudo-playoff format where they were running a lot of pick and roll, putting Luka Doncic in action, Tim Hardaway Jr. in action. And this is a great stretch. You have the Celtics coming up, as you said, to get some of that run against good teams that you're going to have to beat in the playoffs. And obviously, later in the season, you're going to play some worse teams, and that's where you can build your seeding and get some good, hefty wins against teams that maybe aren't playoff teams. And then you can get this playoff run in order to prepare yourself for it.
And let's talk about this Celtics team for just a second. I mean, best team in the league. You know, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, the former Maverick, Kristaps Porzingis. They're all flowing right now really well, but the Mavericks have their guys flowing as well. Who do y'all like? Early prediction right now, what would y'all say for this one? Jacob, we'll go to you.
I'm going to say Mavs. I think that it's going to be really close, just like the Cavs game. I think it's going to be probably about a 2-point game, but I'm going to stick with the Mavs. Maybe, I think it's going to be high scoring. I say 120 to 118.
Okay, and Tiger, go ahead and give me your prediction on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to go the exact opposite of you. Obviously heavily biased here, but I think the Celtics win, and they win big by 20 plus.
I think the Mavs being at home, going to have to agree with Jacob there. I'm going to take the Mavericks there, 130 to 126. But, I mean, like I said, Porzingis down low. Who do y'all think wins this paint game? I'm going to go with Tiger. What do you think?
Just from a physicality standpoint, it's definitely the Mavericks, but I think Kristaps Porzingis' ability to stretch the floor could produce problems for the Mavericks. I think they come out with a small ball lineup similar to they do with the Cavs, especially with that good wing and guard play from the Celtics. Derek White obviously lighting up. Jason Tatum is doing his thing. Jaylen Brown also another all-star. And again, it just comes down to how you can be able to guard the perimeter. It's the Mavericks' big struggle we've been harping on in this entire segment. And I know it's redundant and it's probably annoying to hear, but it just is what the Mavericks need to hear.
And Jacob, who do you think will lead the charge for this team? Obviously, Luka, he is the man of the hour. He's the man of the show every game. But who else besides Luka needs to step up in this one?
I mean, Kyrie has been showing that he is still good at basketball. Not saying that he wasn't ever not good, but I think that he's finally showing what we traded for him. If the two of them are continue to click like they have been these past couple of games, I think that this Mavs team will do really well.
And don't forget, the Celtics have won 9 out of 10 in February, so they're hot. The Mavericks got to look to end that. But when we come back, they'll do it all for the Mavericks. But when we come back, we're going to start talking about another team that's found themselves in the win column. I'm talking about the UNT Women's Softball team, so make sure to stay with us. We'll be right back.
And now we return to Fabric of Passion.
Oh, Hector, it will be so hard for us to part, but we must.
But, my love, what did I do? I thought we were meant to be together forever.
I am so disheartened to say that you're just not in style anymore. But you will be, to someone else, in a better place.
You're gonna shred me?
No.
I'm donating you to one of the many clothing donation boxes available on campus. There is one in the Union by the Syndicate and one on Union Circle Drive.
Oh, well, why didn't you just say so? I'm gonna be someone's new shirt.
I thought you'd be more distressed.
Oh, absolutely not. It was cramped in your closet anyways.
Maybe you would like to be shredded after all.
Welcome back into SportsZone. Now we're going to talk a little bit about that UNT women's softball team that's just come off the UNT invite. And to talk about that here with me, I have Austin Fernandez and Jalen Bullock. Jalen, I'm going to start with you, my man. Talk about this tournament, what you liked from the Mean Green.
All right, so I liked, how they finished the tournament. Of course, they lost those 2 games against Texas Tech, that 6-run, blown lead. I just liked a lot of consistency. They found their stride, as we went later in the tournament. They showed that they could play well against, top, teams in the Texas Tech team. And we're going to have to see that, going forward into this next tournament, as we'll speak on later. But I just really like to see, the pitching. The pitching picked up. That was something that they really struggled with, early season, but made some improvements in this tournament.
Yeah, kind of found that groove now. And they did go in this tournament 4-2. So, Austin, what were your thoughts? What did you like from the Mean Green in this one?
Necessarily, I like how they picked it up. They kind of had some losses going into it, some big blown out losses, but, they had a 3-game win streak. They had the back-to-back loss especially, and especially with that blown loss, like he said, the 6-0. But, against Texas Tech, and they absolutely blew the tournament out of the water. So, I think they did a really good job. I think they did a really good job winning when it was necessary, especially. I think they just really need to pick it up late game because they really know how to get it started early. So I think that's the big thing is that they just kind of need to find consistency throughout the whole game instead of just trying to win early.
Yeah, and Texas Tech, a very good quality opponent that they lost to. I mean, and like y'all said, both of y'all, North Texas had the lead on them and then kind of blew it a little bit. That's tough, though. You have a tournament, it goes all weekend, and you have all these games, and it's tough to win them all. That's what Texas Tech was able to do. So what did y'all see besides that blown loss? Maybe what were a couple of other factors that stopped the Mean Green from winning those games? I'm going to go to Austin.
It was kind of just like I said, kind of just the late game stuff. It seemed like they got started early, of course. It's really hard to look past the Texas Tech game because I feel like that was something that really highlighted kind of their faults. Giving up so many runs late in the game, but scoring 6, that should be enough to win you the game in the first place. And so I feel like that game really highlighted kind of their struggles, but also, they did a good job in the other games. Like we said, they had a 3-game win streak. They lost the 2 games, but now they're on a 2-game win streak again going into this tournament.
And Jalen, your struggles in this one, like we said, they blew the loss, but they kind of picked it up a little bit. What else did you see from the Mean Green that could have been a little bit better?
Perfect. So just, continuing on that Texas Tech game, because I feel like that is a key emphasis, in the struggles in the tournament. They put their foot on the gas to start off, and then they got complacent. There's no other way to put it. Just a lot of bad defensive decisions, especially in the outfield and in the later innings, especially in that first game. But just really inconsistent pitching. That's something that they're still going to have to continue to improve on. It has, gone drastically better as we've gone farther in the season, but it's still something that isn't per se a strong suit for the Mean Green.
And let's talk about this pitching from North Texas. The previous tournament, not so good, but they really picked it up in this one. There were a couple of games there that didn't allow any runs. Wagner getting it done on the mound. She allowed 1 run and a complete game against SFA, allowed 5 hits, and Mackenzie Childers no-hitter and 8 strikeouts against New Mexico. Mackenzie Wagner getting it done this year so far, 29 strikeouts, 3 complete games. Guys, talk about how good and important this pitching is, Austin.
When we have these complaints about the pitching, I think that Mackenzie Wagner is actually a really good, stabilizer for the bullpen, because I feel like that's what you need. You need your coach to be able to lean on a pitcher, and I definitely think that's what Wagner's been able to do. Like you said, she had her 2nd complete game with a shutout against SFA, and, it's just really nice to have somebody, it's easier on the head coach who shows a lot of confidence, saying that, she can get it done when it's needed, even if she doesn't have the speed in the arm. They can depend on her. I think that was huge looking at that, someone in the bullpen like Mackenzie.
And Jalen, talk about this pitching for North Texas.
Wagner has been phenomenal. I also want to highlight Kaylee Gamble, who's one of the returning players on this team. She's been very good to start off this year as well. And just another key piece for Geelong's team, and for his staff to be able to look at as we go, deeper in the season, and when you have those late game situations where you have to, switch up the pitcher and switch up, tactics.
And let's talk about Celine Donahoe. I mean, she young player, getting it done up there. A couple other players, you mentioned it. I mean, they're getting it done. Austin, who did you like from, this defense? There it is. Celine Donahoe, 2 out of 3 at the plate, 2 RBIs, her first career triple. That was against UTA. So let's talk about that game for just a minute, Austin. What did you like in that game against UTA?
Obviously, just like you pointed out, the defense from Donahoe and, the 2 RBIs especially. And, I think that's just super big time, especially to have those clutch RBIs that she had, being so consistent at the plate. I think that's big. And, it's like this for softball and baseball. Once one bat gets hot, you usually might be able to light a flame throughout the whole lineup. So, I think that was really big right there for UNT.
And Jalen, your thoughts on this 5-3 victory against UTA?
It was a very quality win, not just with Donahoe, but the entire team. As Austin highlighted, she was the player that was able to, start it off and really get everybody, in the mindset, of we're swinging the ball out of this park today. And it was just a really consistent, game from start to finish. Just a really quality win that they could, build on.
And Austin, you had mentioned it. This game in baseball too is all about, getting hot at the right time. You gotta have those bats step up, and next thing you know, one bat steps up, and then the other, and the team is on fire. But how did you guys think that the Mean Green would do overall in that UNT Invite tournament? What was y'all's kind of prediction? Did it turn out like you thought? I'm gonna go to Austin.
I actually think that they did better than I thought they were going to do. Right now they're 1 game over 500. They finished the tournament 1 game over 500. And, it was a really competitive game despite the loss against Texas Tech, going up 6-0. That shows a lot of potential. They beat every other team that they faced. So, I really like what they showed against Texas Tech. And that was the second game of the day for them, too. So, I really like what I saw there from UNT, especially in, those 2 games that they had.
And Jalen, did your predictions and results match, or how'd that look?
Yeah, so I thought they were going to end up with this record. I thought that it was going to be a clear blowout against Texas Tech. I thought that they weren't going to be able to compete at all. Texas Tech is sitting at 12-3 right now, a very, very good program over there in Lubbock. But besides that, it was about what I assumed would happen.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. I thought they'd go 4-2. I thought they'd beat Texas Tech in one of them, and they really should have. Now that if you dissect it, being up by that many runs, you should win a game like that. But let's talk about those teams. How did the other teams do? Texas Tech, obviously first place. The Mean Green came in second there. But Austin, what did you think there about the overall standings?
SFA and UNT are kind of just about the same to me. SFA went 2-3, and UNT was 3-2. So it really came down to that last game between the two. And then obviously we saw the struggles with Minnesota and New Mexico only winning 1 game. So, I thought they played kind of poorly, gave up a lot of runs, couldn't really score consistently anyway. And but obviously, like you said, Texas Tech just absolutely blew the tournament out of the water. So I thought it was a entertaining tournament for sure.
Yeah, and UNT right now is 8-7 currently on the season. But going forward in this tournament, Jalen, we have the J&B Memorial Tournament coming up. You got teams like South Carolina, Upstate, Northwestern, and Auburn. Some tough opponents in there. How do you think UNT is going to do in this one?
I think they're going to struggle. I think this is going to be a very, very difficult tournament, especially with Auburn, Northwestern. As you mentioned, Upstate, they're not on the same quality of an Auburn and Northwestern, but they're still a solid program. Even after that tournament, they go right into facing a ranked Texas A&M team. So this next couple of games, this stretch is really going to be a season-defining stretch to see if they are a World Series caliber team. But I think that Auburn, Northwestern, you could already write those off as losses. Upstate, I feel like they'll be able to have a good series against them.
It's going to be a tough tournament. It's really going to test this team. Austin, how do you see them doing against these tough opponents and going forward?
Well, the thing is, when you look at Auburn, when you look at Northwestern, even, Upstate, I think they still look beatable. Texas Tech, they're 13-3 right now, but UNT was still competitive against them. And, so I wouldn't write them out as losses yet. I think that they could still play. I think they could still compete, but I definitely think it'll be a struggle with every team in that tournament going to be a 7-win team.
And now let's each choose one of our players. Who do you think that coach needs to rely on, or who do you think the team needs to rely on within this upcoming tournament? Jalen, I'm going to go to you first.
I'm going to go Kira Simon. She's a player that is been great, at batting about 300 right now, but also, taking base 15 times, a consistent player, which is really going to be a piece that DeLong and his staff are going to have to look for.
And Austin, if you're Coach DeLong, who are you relying on?
I'm going to look at the bullpen. I'm going to say Mackenzie Wagner. Like I was saying, it's a bullpen stabilizer, right? And, she had a complete game. She had a shutout. And I think when you have that, it creates confidence within herself and through the bullpen, to keep the lead, and it puts less pressure around all the other pitchers. So, that's who I think Coach should definitely rely on.
Yeah, Wagner is definitely a good one to rely on. I'm going to go with Kaylee Christensen. Got to get the bats hot. Defense is always important behind the pitcher. But coming up, we're going to be talking about the UNT men's basketball team, another local team here at North Texas. So make sure to stay with us.
All these non-perishable food items, and I don't know what to do with them.
I don't have any food at all.
Do you have too many non-perishable goods?
Yeah.
Have you run out of food and can't get any more?
Yeah.
Well, don't have a cow. Head on down to the UNT Food Pantry. Located behind Crumley Hall and Diamond Eagle Student Resource Center, the Food Pantry is the place for UNT students to get all the food they need. You'll be utterly surprised by all the options they have there. From gluten-free to lactose intolerant, even vegan and vegetarian, they have it all. Go to studentaffairs.unt.edu/food pantry for more information.
Move on down to the UNT Food Pantry.
So a man's been walking in the desert for days at a time. He finally comes across a bar and orders a Coke.
That's not funny.
Eh?
All right, look up here. 1, 2, 3.
Mom, Dad, I got it.
You're right, Mom. I have.
Welcome back into Sports Zone. I'm your host, Trey Francis, and we're going to talk about a little UNT men's basketball around here, boys. So I'm going to go Jay Lathan and Anthony Council. Jay, going to start with you, my man. I mean, what do you think about the UTSA loss, first of all?
Man, bro, they couldn't hit a shot if they were in a boat trying to hit water, bro. Like, that was abysmal, bro. Golly, man. They couldn't shoot to save their lives, man. And, I mean, it clearly showed how much they depend on Jason Edwards. The man shot terribly, bro. He was 1 for 9 for 3. I mean, he really took that Deion Waiters approach of, hey, I'd rather go 0 for 30 because that means I didn't stop shooting.
Yeah, but whenever you're a player like Edwards, you got to put the team on your back. And if he doesn't have a very good game, Anthony, the team doesn't have a very good game. Talk about that.
Yeah, the team, they did not know what they were doing the whole entire night. Like, it feels like they really went to sleep. I mean, looking at the stats, he had 15 points. Look, you got to give credit to Nolan. Nolan had 12 points off the bench. That's a bright spot for them. But, this team did not play very good. They shot 11.1%. It was just a bad game for them. But, you got to give credit to UTSA. Curry, he was shooting it really lights out. He's averaging 16.9 points a game. He played a phenomenal game, 21, 8, and 3 off the bench. Really, that's really what you like to see if you're UTSA, especially as time goes down and we're almost into March as of tomorrow.
Yeah, and the Roadrunners definitely stepped up in that one, guys. We just kind of dogged on North Texas a little bit. Was there anything that you guys liked from them? Jay, I'm going to go to you.
They did win the turnover battle. They only had 10 compared to UTSA's 16, so I'll give them that. Shout out Nolan. He shot at 50%, so I'll give it to him. Good job. You got 12 points. But the rest of the team, thumbs down, man. I can't.
Look at Robert Allen, though. Robert Allen went, he had 9 points and 9 boards, a 9 for 9 game. That's not too bad.
Hey, can't win them all. But, hey, let's just flush that night. Let's just flush that night.
Yeah, I got to say, my favorite thing from that one, I'm going to have to go with the free throws, guys. When you're going to the free throw category, it's usually not a good thing. But now, how did UNT lose to UTSA? You guys kind of said it. Shooting didn't go well, but they're up at the half, and they lose by 2. A common theme now for the team. I mean, what went on, Anthony?
Oh, that's easy. It's late game adjustments. They do not know how to adjust when the time goes down. I mean, UTSA went on a 10-0 run, and UNT was up 53-46 at one point. And it's always in these late game situations that Coach Hodge, he doesn't know how to figure things out. Are you going to go to Nolan? You're going to go to Edwards? The last time you went to Nolan, you were facing a team, and he shot the three, and it didn't go in, and he almost got injured. I mean, you went to Edwards one time, and that didn't work out, and he was in the corner for a three, and he missed it. It's finding out how to adjust when the time goes down, when you're ahead in the first half and the second half comes. Okay, how are we going to make this adjustment when they're going on a 10-0, 6-0 run? That's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, adjustments are key. And Jay, what did you think there? I mean, it was a rough game. We already mentioned it, but what do you think?
And I mean, once again, whether it's clock management, it always comes up time and time again, whether we're playing SMU, whether we're playing Omaha. Why are all these games close down to the wire at the very end? I mean, we have to have better shot selection as the clock is running down here. And I mean, also you gotta have a little bit of more versatility in your scoring. As I mean, we see Jason Edwards had a bad night. Okay, players are allowed to have bad nights, but it seems like the whole offense just ran out of sync when that happened.
Yeah, I agree. You can't always lean on one guy, and you got to be able to finish out those games. It's a big part of college hoops, and if you want to be a successful team, that's what you have to do. Now, let's go ahead and shift gears here, guys. UNT did pick up the win against Tulane. They won 80-76. Jay, what did you like from them in that one?
What I like there, they did a great job of moving the ball around. Tulane did a lot of double teams, which at times they got able to pass the ball out, and they got some inside passes to Aaron Scott. Seen a little bit of Ruben getting back into that rhythm as he's been injured as of late, but positive turnover ratio, so they took care of the ball 14-10, and 5 players went into double-digit scoring, better from the previous game where you only had 2 guys.
And Anthony, they bounced back. What did you like from them in that one?
I mean, looking at the game, I mean, you got to give it to Bugs. Bugs started off hot. I mean, he shot a corner 3, and then you had A. Scott shooting from mid-range. You know, Reuben Jones, really allowed them to go on really have 12-3 to start out out of a first media timeout. It was really a fantastic game from the whole entire team. They stayed ahead 24-19, and then on a defensive side, I think it was just a challenge for them because the Green Wave went on a 6-0 run, and but altogether, UNT played a full game, and I think it's allowing the Nolan and Reuben Jones to get back into a rhythm. That first game against UTSA, it wasn't really good. You know, they're just getting them underneath their feet, and now it's allowing them to get in the rhythm. And Coach Hodge has mentioned that, they have the biggest upside right now, and because they're bringing players back, which, I mean, that's great, but how much time do you have? You're 7-7 right now on the year in district.
Yeah, and they had 24 fouls, so that was a big struggle as well. I mean, that Tulane didn't have that many fouls, but UNT 24 fouls, that's kind of a lot. And they nearly blew this one, Jay. I mean, did you think they were going to blow it, or you had confidence in them to win this one?
You got to stay positive. The Mean Green faithful, we got to rock with them. But once again, another close game down to the wire. Like, geez, can we just please make proper second half adjustments and pull away with teams? I mean, we saw it. They were doing the right things in the first half, but they just can never do it. But, I mean, also what I seen in there is that we can get guys going. We can get multiple guys flowing. But once again, we really rely on Jason Edwards to get the entire offense going.
And Jay, real quick, right back to you. Who did you like the most from UNT in that game? And like you said, there's several point scores, but who was the guy that you were most confident in?
Most confident in Bugs. I mean, the man got hot. I mean, if you don't know who John Bugs is, just look at those feet, man. He's always got some Jordans on, and his shot is cash money. Go ahead, every time he throws it up and he's hot, it's going in.
That's right. And Anthony, who'd you like? I mean, Aaron Scott, 19 points. Reuben Jones, 16. Jason Edwards, 13. Third in scoring for Edwards. That's not very common. We usually see him at the top of that list. But who'd you like the most from the Mean Green?
I think I liked Reuben Jones. I mean, 16, 6 and 5. He drew only 8 fouls. I think he played a really fantastic game, especially coming off a loss against UTSA. He really played a full game and really getting his feet back underneath him.
And now let's go ahead and talk about the next game coming up. It's a big game. They're playing against East Carolina, and as a Mean Green fan, you know exactly what happened in that game. They won on a buzzer beater. Crazy game. We saw the Mavericks lose in the other side of that one on the other day. But what do you guys think the Mean Green need to do to win this one, Jay?
Crash the boards. Very important. I mean, as that was a last-second finish, but if you go to the stat boards, UNT won that on the rebounds, 40-28. So I feel like that's going to be real essential that Scott, Nolan, they're going to be in there, big bodies crashing the board. And also, once again, like we've been talking this whole segment, Jason Edwards is the key. He has to get hot early.
Yeah, and I thought you were going to go right there to the part where, UNT loves the close games. Well, this was another close game. Anthony, what do you hope to see from the Mean Green?
Yeah, I mean, 60-59, Allen off of that game-winning layup, we love to see it.
The football play.
Right.
We saw him chunk the ball down court, and it was football.
Exactly, and so I think the key for UNT to get a win is Edwards just has to have a good game. The last time they played, Edwards had 20 points. They scored 36 points in the paint in that game, 8 off the bench. But East Carolina, I mean, they scored 17 off the bench. So I think UNT has to have a better bench presence, and Edwards just has to get hot. He's averaging 18.5 games, second in the district or in the conference for the whole entire American. And so he just has to have a good game, and they just have to rebound well.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned it right there. They shot 40% from the field and 20.8% from three, so they're going to definitely need a lot better shooting there. Guys, go and give me your quick score prediction. Jay, I'm going to go with you. And who wins?
I'm going to go a little bit of a higher clip right here. Mean Green going 81-79.
Man, a little shootout there. Anthony?
I'll go 85-60. I think UNC is going to really blow them out.
Man, you guys are going high score. I'm going to go 72-62. We'll go UNT, a little big win in that one. But make sure to stay with us because whenever we come back, we're going to be talking about the Dallas Stars on the ice, so stay with us.
Go Mean Green.
What does Talons do?
So I am the Vice President of External Relations for Talons. That means that I basically oversee all the external committees. Our external committees entail our Model A, it's a Mean Green machine. So they bring it to football games especially, so every game it's kind of there, every home game. The Model A is like a symbol of UNC pride, and it's a big tradition that we are so lucky to uphold and maintain. When people look at it, they see it, and they're like, oh, that's the Mean Green machine. There must be a game today or something to ramp up school spirit for basketball, softball, volleyball, any of those things. We have amazing teams, so we just want to show school spirit for them. Bonfire Committee, which is in charge of putting together the bonfire every year for homecoming. It's kind of just a whole semester-long process up until build week that we have to put together and oversee and make sure safety regulations are followed and risk management is taken care of. Cannon Crew, which oversees and takes care of the cannon. They fire it at games, they take it to special occasions.
Welcome back into Sports Zone. Let's go ahead and talk about these Dallas Stars that are, I gotta say, they're on a roller coaster ride, up and down, losing several games, but before they had a win streak going, we gotta solve the madness, guys. Talk to me about that here. I have John Phillips and Jose Moreno.
Hi, how's
John,
it going?
John, I'm gonna go to you first. The Stars, let's go ahead and talk about the Islanders game. They lost 3-2 in overtime. Talk about it.
It's a mad game. This is a team that we should be beating probably, and we lost in overtime again. Another overtime loss. We lost to the Bruins in a shootout, Edmonton in overtime. It's just a thing that we can't close in these tight games, and we can't score anymore. The goals have dried up.
I feel like their mentality has been just dried up this whole season. Poor Dallas Stars. They've not been playing the best. I think they're 1-5 in their past 6 games, and their only victory being against Carolina. Not the best run for them, especially with their upcoming opponent being on a freaking win streak of 4 in a row.
Yeah, the offense has been a struggle, but what did you guys like from the Stars in that Islanders game? Logan Stankoven, you got to give it to the guy. The guy just turned 21 years old. He's got 2 goals under his belt in the NHL. What do you think, John? What did you like from the Stars?
I liked the regulation defense, only allowed 2 goals in regulation, pretty solid. Outside of that, Logan Stankoven, he's so incredible. This is a star. 2 points in that game on his birthday. This guy is going to get straight to the top. He's so good.
Yeah, and that defense, they're doing a pretty good job only allowing, 2 goals in regular time and then obviously the 1 in overtime. But, Jose, what did you think about the offense and the defense?
I think the defense was actually pretty incredible in the third period, kind of not allowing anyone to score after struggling most of the game, to be honest. Let's be honest here, folks. They a goal in the first period, a goal in the second period, but in the third they kind of turned it up after they scored their 2 goals in a row. They kind of tied it up. In the OT, though, just a bunch of shenanigans until the goal. overall offense is not firing as they should be, and our defense is actually playing way better, but they can't make up for what the offense is lacking, and that kind of tires out the defense a lot. That your offense isn't doing much.
Yeah, you just talked about the offense lacking. Obviously, I mean, guys, it sounds so simple, but to win these games, you got to score some goals. I mean, it's what you got to do. How can the Stars do that going forward, John? What do they need to do to pick this up?
I mean, they need more performance from their stars. They need Matt Duchene, 1 point in his last 5 games. They need to get Tyler Seguin back. They need to get those stars firing. Because right now it's really just Logan Stankoven, it's Wyatt Johnston, it's the young guys. They need those established goal scorers to get those points for them.
Yeah, you just mentioned it. Those veterans, they got to be able to step up and score those goals. And I mean, Stankoven, the young guy, that's great. Him and Wyatt Johnston working well as a team. But Jose, what do you think the offense has to do to pick it up? I mean, young guys can't carry this team to the playoffs. That's just how it goes.
I think, again, pick up that confidence. This team has a big problem with confidence and believing in themselves. We see that in the playoffs and in must-win games and important overall games for our season. The Dallas Stars have historically been known as chokers, other than our championship game in which we somehow played it way beyond expectations way back in 1999, which is now 25 years ago. that game is older than everyone in this room, including you, Simeon. But honestly, a great game. Not a great game, not a great team. It's going, not our season right now.
Yeah. However, with these overtime games, I mean, they are picking up these points. They're still there at the top of the first, but I mean, you can't continue to just get these 1 points from overtime games. So you got to be able to win games in regular time and not choke at the end. So, John, I mean, what do you think here? What was your takeaway from the game?
The takeaway was that we have a little bit of work to do offensively and before the playoffs. The work is that we aren't a finished project. The work, even though we are top of the division right now, tied with Winnipeg, there's still work to be done with this team, and that's what the game really showed me, that we have further to go.
Now let's go ahead and shift to this blowout game that we saw from the Avalanche. Definitely not expected. That's not how the Stars have played them before. I mean, Jose, losing 5-1 is never a good thing. How come the Stars only put up 1 goal and allowed 5? What's going on?
Again, I think that came after a game that you had to win against the Islanders. You lost in just overall not disappointing fashion, not the fashion you want to lose in. And then that defeated mindset most likely carried into the Avalanche game. And once the Avalanche kind of started scoring after Dallas opened up, the field, slowly over time, you just lose faith and you get more and more depressed out there. I've been out there during a blowout. You've been out there during a blowout probably, guys, right? It just sucks, especially after you lost the last game and you just want to do a bounce back and you can't. Overall, just not a great mentality from our players out there.
Yeah, John, I mean, the reason why the Avs are so good, I mean, for me, I think their veterans step up. It's not their young guys carrying like the Stars are having to do right now. But why do you think the Avs are that good, or are they that good?
I mean, 4 words: Nathan, McKinnon, Cale, Makar. If you have those 2 players, you are going to be an elite team because those are 2 of the best players in the league. I mean, Nathan McKinnon, 29 straight home games with a point. That's the most since Mario Lemieux. This is a star, a Hall of Fame talent we're talking about. Alexander Georgiev, their keeper, 30-plus saves, .971 save percentage against us. They have so many stars throughout the spine of their team that's just too much talent for us.
And Jose, why are these games against the Avs always so high scoring? You never see it, 1-0, 2-1. It's always something like what we saw. It's 5-1. They've lost 5-4 to them in overtime this season, 6-3. I mean, you're looking at 6, 7, 8 goals. I mean, how come?
I think these teams hate each other.
Well, that's a given.
That's a given, right? That these teams probably hate each other. There's a big rivalry between Colorado teams and Dallas teams recently, even with the Nuggets and the Mavericks, the Broncos and the Cowboys. Who can be the worser team? But no, I think it is just that deep-rooted hatred for each other, as well as constant playoff disappointments to each other in the past. It's kind of become its aura of, let's come in here, let's shut these Stars fans up, or hey, let's come and shut up the Avalanche. These games are just turning up the heat. It's like an oven in there.
Yeah, and the Stars, you guys mentioned it already, but that third period for the Stars in several games has been pretty quiet. I mean, John, what's going on in the third period? It's like they play good defense, but they don't play any offense.
I mean, I have to think it's a coaching issue at this point. They have talent there. They've scored goals in other periods. They've scored goals in the past, but it's just when it gets to crunch time, they can't do it. And when it's a mentality thing like that, I have to blame coaching.
And let's go ahead and talk Stars positives from this one. Jose, what did you see positively out of this Avalanche game?
Well, we scored a goal. Yay! It wasn't 5-0. Well, there's no positives.
I mean, it was the young kid Logan Stankoven, but I mean, like you said, there wasn't much positive. But guys, if you look at that stat sheet, I mean, you go through. I mean, the Stars pretty much beat them in every category, outshot them. I mean, is it the lucky bounce, John, or is it just, I mean, what is it?
I mean, part of it is always lucky bounce. In games like hockey where it's 5 goals, 4 goals, 3 goals, you're going to have variance where the shots, even if you dominate the game from that aspect, you're going to lose games. But I think it also was, Colorado was more efficient. I think Colorado wanted it more. I think Colorado, they had better performances from their key players, and I think that's what ultimately made it the game.
And let's talk about the newest member of the Dallas Stars, guys. We saw this trade go through. I mean, picking up another defenseman in Tanev, and that's huge for the Stars team, and they're not paying that much for him, which is crucial. Jose, what do you think? I mean, they need another defenseman.
That is, I mean, especially with the current financial situation for the Stars, a cheaper defenseman that can help carry the defense, and become an anchor there. That's kind of what we partially need. That 5-1 probably opened up the eyes. What a graphic there. Whoever did that, congratulations on that one. That's a good graphic. Just, we need a little bit more maturity, a little bit more trust in our defense. And I feel like kind of putting that extra piece, solidifies that. And it's awesome to see. Great pickup.
And John, how can Chris Tanev help this defense?
I mean, before this recent stretch where we weren't scoring goals and not allowing them, we were giving up a lot of goals. And Chris Tanev is a talented player. Even though he's only a rental, it was a cheap deal. And I think he's really going to shore up this defense when it comes to the important games.
Now let's talk about this next game for the Stars. It's a big one. The Mavs got a big one. The Stars got a big one. I mean, it's some tough matchups here for our DFW teams. The Winnipeg Jets tied for first. Tied for first in the division, excuse me. Jose, do you think the Stars has what it takes to beat the Jets, or what do you think it's going to take to beat the Jets?
Dude, it's going to be like the Mighty Ducks out there. We're going to die. We are going to lose so bad. They're 4-0 in these past few games. They've been on fire. They're clicking on all cylinders. The thing about me is it's not even just the Winnipeg game that I'm kind of worried about. It's playoffs, right? Is this team even ready for playoffs? Winnipeg is one thing, right? That's the best team in the NHL. We lose to them, it's okay. They're the best team. But will we even make it out of the first round, the second round? This team is looking to be more and more mediocre, and I think they're kind of polishing the turd now and finding out that it's a turd and not a diamond.
And John, what do you think? How good have the Jets been?
I mean, they've won 7 of their last 8. This is such a good team. They are tied with us on points, and they've played 4 less games. This is an ultra-talented team that I think is a Stanley Cup contender.
Yeah, huge game for the Stars. Let's talk about the factors that need to be accounted for in order to beat this team. And in my opinion, offense has to go, and you have to put up probably 4 goals minimum to beat the Jets. Jose, what do you think?
I don't know, man.
4 goals is a stretch.
4 goals is a stretch. Do you think you could score 4 goals in an hour of playing hockey out there? I don't think I could. I don't think we can probably score against maybe the best team in the entire NHL. I think we'll score 2, and they'll score 5, and they'll be like, oh, man, that sucks, but at least it's going to be worse.
And John?
I think the biggest issue is the goalkeeping. Connor Hellebuyck is a way better goalkeeper than we have. Scott Wedgwood's been decent, but overall our goalkeeping situation is not good, and I think it's going to be a blowout of a game, maybe 6-1 for Winnipeg, as much as I hate to say it.
All right, he gave his score prediction. Jose, go ahead and give me your score prediction.
I said 5-2.
5-2 in the favor of the Jets?
Winnipeg. Go
Okay.
Gretzky.
All right. Well, I'm going to go 3-2. Let's go Dallas Stars. We'll see. We'll hope they can bounce back, guys. They have to. I mean, they've lost 7
At some
last
point
8.
they have to.
They got to bounce back eventually. But go ahead.
Real quick. You go. No,
all right. But real quick, fans are a big part of the game. So make sure to stay with us. Coming up, we're going to mention fans across different sports and how they impact it.
You ever felt too heavy to overcome? Wish there was a safe place to confide in? Wish granted. At UNT, we offer counseling and testing services to students located on the 3rd floor of Chestnut Hall. UNT, we're here for you.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Let's get started. This is a motor vehicle. This is the blinker mechanism. To use it, push it up for the right blinker and down to go left. You're welcome. It was easy.
Hello and welcome back into SportsZone. I'm your host, Trey Francis, and as I just mentioned, fans are a big part of these games. College fans, pro fans, doesn't matter. There's a lot of them that attend these games, and they make a big impact whether you like to think it or not. And here to talk about me with those fans, I have Rohan Srinivasan and Isaiah Ortiz. Rohan, I'm going to start with you, my man. I mean, well, go ahead and tell me, how have fans impacted sports? Let's go ahead and start with how they impact it in a positive way.
I really think they impact it in a really positive way. They always come out, rep their team, rep their favorite player's jersey. In the NBA arena, there's around 20 to 30,000 people. Football stadiums, 80,000 people. They help the team win. It gives the players an extra motivation to help the fans also get what they deserve.
And Isaiah, what do you think? Positive first.
Yeah, I do think what I love about fans is they really create the rivalries, right? They really embrace the hatred that you see in today's modern game. One of my favorites, I'm a big Heat fan, Heat versus Celtics. You know, the players like each other, they're all friends off the court, but the fans do not like each other at all, and that's what creates the rivalry for me, and that's what I love.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Get those fans out there, the fan chants, the fans singing. You know, it's great whenever you're a sold-out stadium as long as nothing bad happens. But let's go ahead and talk about that bad side. Rohan, back to you. I mean, talk about the negative impacts.
I really think the negative impact is really about talking too much trash to players. I mean, it kind of gets over the line at some point. Going on the court after the game, injuring a player.
We'll talk about that in just a second.
I know we'll talk about it in just a second, but whenever you do talk about the negatives, you got to bring that up. Court storming is bad. But other than that, it's just about talking too much trash to the players. Some of it is okay, but you can't cross the line there.
And Isaiah, what do you think? What are your negative impacts here?
Yeah, I got one serious one and one kind of unserious one. Kind of off what Rohan was saying, there is a bit of entitlement when it comes to fans. They do think because we're paying for the tickets, they kind of can do whatever they want to the players, which is not true at all, which is why you see a lot of players taking more action when it comes to fans trash talking in the stands. And then my unserious one, what I don't like about some fans, like Cowboys fans, specifically the old head fans, they kind of ruined everything for us. We can't talk about nothing. Like, if I were to bring up the Cowboys Super Bowls, they were before I was born, so I don't really fit in that, you know, toxic old head Cowboys fans mentality.
Yeah, obviously, you know, you get fans out there and, you know, people start drinking and talking and then someone maybe mishears something and next thing you know, a fight's breaking out and things get a little crazy as we've seen. But let's go ahead and talk about the big story here, guys. I mean, Kyle Filipowski for Duke getting injured after their game, and the fans, they stormed the court, and next thing you know, he's injured. His ankle is messed up. You can see it right there. I mean, I don't know if he saw it coming. He didn't get off the court very fast. Rohan, give me your thoughts on that.
My thoughts are to ban court storming. I really just don't like it overall. Even after the game, his quote, he said that I feel like it was personal. So whether it was personal or not, whether it was intentional or not, he still got his knee hurt. And that made even the Duke coach tell everyone and to the media, why aren't we banning court storming? I don't see the positive effect of it.
And right back to you, do you think that fans should be able to storm the court, storm the field, you know, whatever they're using, or what do you think? Should there be a rule there?
I mean, I really think it should be banned. There's nothing really good coming out of it. You can still cheer for a game, cheer loudly, as loud as you want, but just the court is meant for the players and the players only.
Yeah, that's tough though. You know, you get a lot of fans out there. Fans start jumping over the barriers. Not really much security can do. Isaiah, what do you think here? What was your thoughts on the Filipowski story?
Yeah, I do think this was an unfortunate situation. Court storming obviously has been part of the college game for such a long time. It's become tradition at this point. But it's so unfortunate we see guys like Filipowski and then in the women's game, Caitlin Clark, two star players in their sport getting injured or almost injured based off court storming.
And what do you think needs to happen? Do you think it should still be allowed? Do you think it should change? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've been kind of leaning towards the ban side of it, mostly because we're shifting into the NIL side of things for college basketball and college football, things like that. These players are becoming valuable. They have price tags on their name now. So it's almost like you kind of have to protect your investments because these players are now getting paid.
So do you guys think, real quick, we'll give a little quick answer here. Do you think that those students, you know, for Wake Forest, do you think they intentionally tried to hurt Filipowski, or do you think it was just kind of accidental? They were kind of just going crazy? Rohan, I'll go to you first.
I mean, we really can't tell if it was intentional or not, but bottom line is if he got hurt, he got hurt. And that should put an end to me saying, hey, if the biggest reason is the security of the players, that is your number one main thing to target, and if that happens, then I guess we should ban it. Whether it was intentional or not, he still got hurt.
And Isaiah, what do you think there?
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I don't know if it was intentional or not. I really hope not, because that would just be a really bad character move by the Wake Forest students' part and something that the Wake Forest athletic department has to take a look at. But I do hope that none of the injuries that we've seen are intentional. And if they are, then that's only going to further the push for court storming to be banned.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to take a little different approach as y'all did. I mean, yes, I think court storming, it's going to be hard to stop. If you want to stop that, you have to make some changes to like some stadiums and things of that nature. But I think whenever it comes to court storming, let's say, for instance, like for Duke, right? You know you're going to lose that game. And you know those fans are going to rush that court because they're unranked, you're ranked, they want to beat you. And, I mean, you got to know, you have to quickly get off that court because they will come. I mean, do you guys agree or disagree with that statement? Rohan, I'll go to you first.
I mean, I kind of agree with it, but at the end of the day, their job is to play and not worry about getting off the court in a timely manner. So I would just really focus on playing instead of worrying about, hey, we got to get off the court, you know.
And Isaiah?
Yeah, I disagree as well. Do we see that in the NFL? Do we see that in any professional sports landscape? And as the NCAA moves to more of a professional sports landscape, the NFL, the NBA, they protect their players. They have zero tolerance and stuff like that. So I do think there should be zero tolerance in the NCAA.
And now let's switch gears here. We're going to go and talk about how, you know, fans and traditions. I mean, what are you guys, what are some of y'all's favorites? And there's a lot of good and great traditions out there, some that are now being a little messed up. But Rohan, what is your favorite one out there?
I think it's probably like the most basic one. Whenever your opponent's at the free throw line and at the back of the basket, there's just people with clappers and posters dedicated to them to help them miss the shot.
Do you have a least favorite one? Is there one that you're like, oh, this one is terrible or something like that, or just?
It's actually my most favorite one and least favorite. It's actually talking trash to players. But if it gets across the line, then I really don't like it.
Yeah, definitely can't go past that line. And Isaiah, what do you think? What's your favorite fan tradition?
Yeah, my favorite one's not really a traditional one in that sense, but I do love when NBA fans just vote for random players in all-star voting. My favorite one being the Zaza Pachulia voting in 2017. I don't know if y'all remember. Had more votes than Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook. It was just really funny to see. I think I voted for him too.
Yeah, I'm going to go. One of the main traditions I like, I mean, it sounds kind of simple, but it's really touching, is that Hawkeye wave. You know, the Iowa fans all turn and wave to the hospital right there, which is super cool. I mean, you love seeing stuff like that. Obviously, there is negative sides to that, but I mean, what else do you guys think? You know, you have Duke, Carolina out there. You have all those college basketball games where people are showing up. I mean, how early you guys, when are they showing up? You know,
it's a long time. Definitely 10 a.m.
They're camping out for these games. I mean, if that's not fan tradition, I mean, what is it? What else are your thoughts on this, Rohan?
I mean, I think it's good. I mean, as long as you're not crossing the line with players, I think it's all good and fun, you know. Tailgating, doing everything like that, getting before the game. These are all traditions that fans go through. But whenever you talk about court storming in general, that's whenever it is a tradition, but now it's kind of crossed the line because you've seen players getting injured from it.
And Isaiah, your last thoughts on that?
Yeah, like I mentioned, the NCAA is becoming more of a business, a league in itself. So at the end of the day, you do have to focus on your player safety before anything else.
And guys, something else we didn't really mention was, I mean, the fan sing-along. You have all the sing-alongs in the stadium, and that's great when you have a sold-out crowd. Rohan, real quick, I mean, your thoughts on the fan singing. You like it, don't like it, a little too much sometimes?
I absolutely love it. Like every time I go to a Mavs game, mostly Mavs game, I go to a lot of Cowboys games, but all Mavs games, it's more family friendly. They have it up on the Jumbotron, what lines to sing up. It's like a karaoke. It's really fun, so I really like it.
Isaiah, your thoughts on the singing?
Yeah, I do like it when they sing like Sweet Caroline and all those traditional songs, but have you seen those European crowds, especially for football games, when they go up to London and Germany and places like that? I mean, it is like 100 times better to hear it from the crowd.
No, that is right. Those games do get pretty crazy, but that will do it here for our fan segment and our Sports Zone segment. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching us. Make sure to follow us on our social media, NTTV_sports. And in just a couple minutes, the nightly news will be starting. So make sure to check them out and have a great night, everybody.